This is what it is, okay? I said empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Welcome to the 5th episode of the Deployment Dojo. This is a live show where we introduce and talk about deployment software installation topics using the WiX Toolset. I'm your host, Rob Mensching, and joining me is my very good friend and first student of the Deployment Dojo, David Edson. David, how are you?
Pretty good. Hello again.
Hey, all right. We're back this week, and I have to admit, I had a whole plan of what things were going to happen and how it was going to go based on our last episode, and all of that fell apart. All of it fell apart. I don't know if you remember, but at the end, I hit a surprise in the tool set that I thought a particular thing had been solved and was going to work a particular way, namely same version upgrades. And how when we installed one version of an MSI, the same one would install multiple times, and that surprised me.
Right.
Yeah, okay, well, we're going to pick up from there again, and we're going to go and figure out why the WiX Toolset doesn't do that. Martin, it's great to have you. I know you've got us on your, what did he say, 6:30 time, I think he said? I'm glad we can make it part of your evening. All right, so let's go jump into the first kata where we're going to get everything set up again, David, and then get ourselves right back into upgrades where we left off from last week. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Sounds good.
All right. We're here in episode 5, and I'm going to do the thing that we said we should do every week. Start from the beginning. So I've opened up Visual Studio Code in that folder, and I've created this one text file. This is episode 5. This is how we started pretty much every week, right, David? This is the text file that we're going to install. Massively exciting and important payload for us to get out into the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Hey, we got two people, Valentine and Martin. This is great. 9:30 p.m. That makes them East Coasters, David? No, 9:30 p.m. That's the other side of the pond.
Other side of the planet, yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to make this one time bigger. Let's go ahead and get things started. So, David, your choice. Do we start with the installation package or do we start with our sandbox?
Let's do the sandbox real quick.
All right, let's create our sandbox. So, how do we create a sandbox? We name a WSB file. You can name it whatever we want. Since we are doing the Deployment Dojo, we're going to do this, and I'm going to tell us this XML real quick. All right. Yes, I know. Thank you, Visual Studio Code. Let's go ahead and get this started. So we start with configuration, because this is what we have from the spec. And then we've had discussions about map folders, the plural version of this, with a mapped folder inside it so that we can get content from my computer outside into the sandbox itself. So here we go. So from the host folder, we're going to be working in, what did I say? Dojo episode 5. Right. That's where I've been working from, not host folder. And we've been very consistent. We've been naming this inside the sandbox. The folder, we've called it C:\Dojo. We could call it whatever we want, but consistency has value.
Right.
All right, that should give us our sandbox, correct?
Looks good.
Okay, now I want to do one more thing here because it's useful. I'm going to add another file, and what did I call this? I think I call it start.cmd. I want to create a batch file that will do a couple things for us because we're going to be doing this a lot. We're going to tell it to open inside the sandbox, the Dojo folder, and I want to start app.wiz.cpl. Do you remember what that's called, David?
Yeah, the add remove programs.
Thank you. You see, this is fantastic. 5 weeks in, a half hour each. What's that, 2.5 hours? You're becoming a master already. And then we're going to do one more thing. I'm going to try to have it open program files x86. No, yes, x86.
Yes.
x86. I forget. Is there not those
wrong.
curly braces?
Right.
Parentheses. And I forget, is there a space? I never do remember. I don't think there is.
Don't think so. Actually there is.
There is? All right.
Yep.
Thank you for double checking my work here. So one thing I want to point out real fast, this is the thing that tripped me up for a long time. When you quote something to start, the start command, which is a CMD command, it will, the first quoted thing it will see as the title of the window. So if you put empty quotes and then your quoted thing, it'll then go, oh, okay. So an empty title and then launch this thing. Otherwise you get a start that doesn't do anything. It's really annoying. Now,
Okay.
I guess I could have demoed that, but I don't really want to show you that mistake that's easy to make. I just want to kind of call it out. All right, log on command. I have my little cheat sheet to the left of me just to remind me some of the element names. And this is command. I think it's just command. And inside the dojo, it'll be in the C:\dojo, dojo start.cmd. Yes?
Yes.
What are we going to do? We're going to start it. Dojo.wsb. What do we expect to see here, David?
Well, the sandbox will open with that folder and the add remove programs open.
If everything works.
If it works.
Ah, yes. So there's add remove programs. And there's the Dojo folder with our files that we've been working on. And there's program files x86. Fantastic. We'll close the sandbox. Yes, I know. Everything in the sandbox is lost when you close it. Yes, that's the purpose. All right, moving on. Episode 5.wxs. Time to write our package. We start with the WiX element because all things in the WiX program language start with WiX. I know I need to put the namespace on it, but we'll get there. I'm going to try to do the things that I know are in here that you would expect, and then we'll go back and get that.
Sure.
Why do I put the tilde? Do you remember why I put the tilde?
No, I don't.
I put a tilde because it sorts to the top. And it's easy to see where things are at. All right, I need an upgrade code. Upgrade codes are GUID, so I go back to my command prompt and I ask PowerShell for a new GUID, please. And it gives me one. All right, so now we've created the beginnings of our package. What have we done here? We've given our package a name with a tilde, so it sorts to the top of all of our lists that we see. This is a really quick trick to get it to the top. I'm giving a version 1.0 for now. We're going to play with versions today because we're doing upgrades, so I'm not too worried about which one we start with here. And we give it an upgrade code, which is a unique name, a very unique name. GUIDs are globally unique, in fact. Numbers that will never collide with any other numbers in the known universe, supposedly. Never heard of collisions. Anyway, we've now given our package a upgrade code so that we can find other versions of our product. Let's go ahead and continue on. We're going to install to program files folder, correct, David?
Right.
That's what we opened, so I might as well continue to do that. Standard directory, program files folder, please. And inside the standard directory, we are going to have, just name equals, do I just do EP5? I think just EP5.
Yeah.
Tilde EP5 to make it sort to the top. Okay. That's our directory tree.
Looks good.
All right. Now remind me, David, do we want to put the directory in the do we want to put the component in the directory or the component in the feature? Choices.
I thought we put the component in the feature.
Great, let's do that. So we have a feature over here. Yeah, give it a name. Doesn't matter because we're not going to be working with it. And we're going to put our component in here. Component, and we have to tell it which directory we want to put it in. Oops. And if I want to put it here, I have to give this an ID. What do I call this? Install folder.
Yeah, I think that's what we did last time.
There we go. So when I wanted to refer to this directory, I gave it an ID. If I didn't need to refer to this directory, I wouldn't have to give it an ID, and the WiX Toolset would take care of that for me. In fact, almost every single thing in here ends up needing an ID in the end, but the WiX toolset will generate them when I don't care to worry about them. Component, thank you. And source equals ep5.txt.
Looks good.
Looks good. So this is the structure that we talked about before with our backbone of our directory tree and our backbone of our feature tree. The directory tree being the structure of our application, how it gets laid out on disk, and the feature tree being the things that people can turn on and off, that users can turn on and off to control which set of components are installed or not. All right, now picking up where we left off last week. Major upgrade.
Typo.
I probably should type it right. Could have left that one and see what the... All right, we've done a big long kata. I've tried to write a whole bunch of code all in one big pass. We'll see how many errors the WiX toolset will tell me about here in a moment. One thing we know is this major upgrade uses this GUID and says, hey, I will upgrade older versions and I will prevent newer versions from being installed with this downgrade error message. Cool?
Cool.
All right, I'm going to do one more thing because we're going to build several of these guys. I'm going to go into episode 1. This is v1.0. Okay, so we're going to know inside this text file when we build, this is version 1.0.
Sure.
All right, let's go build. Now, I know I promised that we're going to update the WiX toolset. We're not going to update the WiX toolset today, but we're going to talk about why in a little bit. So that means I am still using that WiX version from the beginning, WiX 509. We're on to like WiX 560 or something now, all because we're getting really close to preview 1. Very close to preview 1. We're all working towards preview 1. And that's why you're here, to watch us get closer to preview 1 by using the WiX toolset and showing that it does work and exposing all those things where it does not. All right, WiX build episode 5.wss. Error. Oh yes, the namespace. WiX element must have this namespace. Oh, I hit Control C. Thank you. I will copy that on there. Now I'm pretty sure that error, I'll do a clear screen and then run that command again, is going to block all my other error messages. And now it shows me the other ones. Downgrade. The major upgrade contains an unexpected attribute downgrade error message. The major downgrade error message attribute was not found. Oh, error massage, and then massage. How about 2 S's? Yes. All right, cool. Boom. We built, and we now have a cab here and an MSI, neither of which the text editor can open. All right.
Right.
So, do we run it here? No, we run it here.
In the sandbox.
Open the sandbox. Let's go play in the sandbox. Break out our tools. Hey, we have a Zach. Hey, Zach. Oh, collisions definitely happen. We had one happen. A GUID collision? I think he's telling stories. Sounds like a wives' tale to me. A GUID collision. We used to have this little box, because there are lots of GUIDs when you deal with setup. We used to have this little box when I was in Microsoft Office, and it was basically a little box and it said, recycle your GUIDs here, so we never ran out. All right, episode 5, installing. Look, episode 5 folder here with episode 5.txt with episode 5 version 1.0. And if I hit F5 here, we have episode 5.
Nice.
Now, uninstall. Yes. All right. I think we finished our first pass through all this.
Right.
Cool? All right.
Yep.
Now, that's the easy part. We now know that we can install our package. Now it's time for us to start building versions of it. All right. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to specify an out directory, and I'm going to build again to version 1.0 episode 5.wss. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm going to get rid of cab 1 and episode 5.msi. And oh, I forgot. And the episode 5.wixpdb.
Yep.
Someone was asking about WixPDBs. I think it was Martin. I think we're going to talk about WixPDBs a little bit today. Maybe. if we get there. If we have time.
Okay.
I know, bated breath. If not this time, then we'll do it next time. All right, cool. So there we have episode 5, version 1 installed in that directory.
Looks good.
Looks good, looks good. All right, let's go back to our code. And now we're just going to tweak things enough so that when we build again, I want to go to episode5.txt. So now I'm going to change the text file to say 1.1, and I'm going to say the MSI install is 1.1, and we're going to say, let's build this.
Okay. And you only have the text file here. You didn't put the text file in the 1.0 directory, right?
I did not.
Okay.
I built from this directory, and it took the output and put it into this separate directory. So it kind of cleans it up. So you can see here's the text files we're working with, and here's the stuff that got built.
Gotcha.
I've been making a mess in the root directory to kind of not worry about folder structures, but let's go ahead and build episode 1.1 now.
Okay.
All right. Clear, and we're going to build to a new folder. And if we look, we now have a new folder. Okay?
Okay.
So, back into the dojo.sandbox, and let's try it. Which one do you want to install first?
The first one.
What's the first one?
1.0?
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure. All right, here we go. Installing the first one, as David would say. There it is. And when we hit F5, we can see version 1.0, everything is good. Now let's go install our second one. What do we expect this to do?
It will add another entry into add remove programs right there.
It will not.
It will not.
It's going to upgrade.
Okay.
You're trying to cheat ahead, David.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of last episode.
Little flashbacks there, the stuff we did before.
Yes.
Right. Everything worked perfectly. Our upgrade was great. There are no problems at all.
Oh, it's if we would have done it the reverse order. That's where we would have got that.
Okay, let's do that. We're breaking our kata down a little bit, doing a little sparring here, but I'm down with that. All right, V 1.1, let's install. 1.1. Back here to 1.0, we're going to install that. Newer versions installed.
Okay.
So that got our error message, which we actually typed in. So all that worked correctly as well. So everything seems, David, despite your misgivings, that it's all working correctly.
Yes, it does.
That's good. Now let's go explore the problem that you were talking about. The problem is not when you have an update of a version within the first field, or the second field, or even the third field. The problem is when you start trying to do updates in the fourth field.
That's right. It was a Windows installer limitation, I think you were.
That's exactly right. The Windows installer is going to ignore this fourth field. So from the Windows installer point of view, what version does this look like?
I guess it's 1.1.0, right? If it's doing 3.
Let's go prove it real fast. We're going to take our things. I changed very quickly. I changed the version number. I changed the text file.
Okay.
1.0.1. Put the right numbers dots, right?
Right.
Okay. We will build that. We will bring up our dojo.wsb or sandbox. Into the sandbox we go. I like this batch file. I just wish it would spread things out a little bit for me. All right. We're going to skip 1.0. We're going to go straight 1 to 1.1.
Okay.
Installing in here. F5, 1.1. Now, when we go install this one, this should upgrade, ideally, 1.1 to 1.0.1. But as you noted, the Windows installer does not notice those fourth bits. We get a text file. Hey, look, it's the right version. Everything is right. Everything is good. Not so good. There are 2 packages installed. Why is the correct version in that file, David?
Well, you installed it last.
That's right.
And Windows installer keeps track of that file too, from what I sort of remember.
Yep.
So even if you uninstall it, it'll still be there.
Right. So let's uninstall 1.1.0 again. What version number is in this file?
I'm going to guess 1.1. if the installer is taking care. No, it's not. Okay.
It does not revert the files. It does not know to go back and get the old file and put it there.
Okay.
But it knows that it's still owned. So we can now uninstall this.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to do it slightly differently. Episode 1.1.0.1. Okay, so what number is in this file here?
Okay. 1.1.01.
Yep, and if we look in here, we have 1.1.01.
Yep.
Now I'm going to go back, install 1.1. What would we like? Actually, I'm going to do this. What do you think happens if I try to install 1.0?
We should get the downgrade message.
You are correct. Very good. So when we try to install this, what are we going to get?
So this one is the weird one, I think. So I think it will overwrite it because it doesn't recognize that is a lower version than that one.
And what are we going to get in add remove programs?
We should get a second entry there, right?
You're correct. We get a second entry. And our text file says 1.1.
Yes. Okay, so it overwrote it.
Well done, sir. Exactly correct. What happens in this case is that it is writing the last version of the file. Now this happens because it's a text file. Things will get more complicated when we start having version files, but because it's a text file, it just says, hey, this is the last one, it's the one that wins, it goes in. Okay. Mm-hmm. What we're exploring here is the non-intuitive behavior of the Windows installer when trying to update off of the 4th version.
Okay.
So how about we try to make this work, which is what, let's say we want this scenario to work. Okay, so I'm going to say 1.1, and then here.
To clarify, the scenario of having 4 upgrade, something dot something dot something dot something.
Yes, the scenario. So we could say here, allow same version upgrades. And last week, my memory said that we had already implemented this as the default in the Windows installer. So I want to now bring this into the mix and then explore what happens from here.
Okay.
I'm gonna make this 1.0.2, who allows same version upgrades. Okay.
Okay.
Build to the 2 directory. Boom, done, right? Now we're gonna bring up the dojo.wsb back into the sandbox. Get our new content. Technically speaking, I don't have to close it, but this way we know things are very, very clean. All right. So first step, let's go in and install. We'll install 1.1.0.1. This is normal. Everything behaves as we would expect. There's the correct version number.
Okay.
And the package is here. Now, normally you would expect that 1.0.2 would create a second entry here,
right?
And it would put its file in here. It did put its file in here. And how many entries did we get? 1.0.2.
Okay. All from that other element you just added.
That attribute.
Attribute.
Okay.
Sure.
Now I'm going to do something. I want to do one more thing. I'm going to do 1.3. Going to add one more version where we're allowing same version upgrades. Okay.
Okay. And
sure
install that
directory
first, and then try 2 to make sure that the downgrade error message shows up.
Aha! I love it. You are following right along. We are going to see the behavior when we do this. Okay. Boom. 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 Okay. So
yep.
Let's start with 1, just to be correct, because these are fast.
Sure.
Nope, didn't want to do that. There we go. There we go. 1. 1. Good?
Good.
Now to install 2. Episode 1.0.2. This allows the same version upgrades. This has that extra bit in it. And we do not get 2. We get 1 entry that happens to be version 2. That was a little confusing.
All right.
Right? But hey, it did the upgrade. So let's go try to 3. Do we expect 3 to work?
Yes.
So far, if everything is behaving the way we think it should, 3. Next version, 3. Great. All this is wonderful. It looks like we have the perfect solution to our problem of the Windows installer ignoring the 4th part.
Right.
What do we expect to happen here if we were
Should
to go
get
back and install the previous version from 3?
That we should get the downgrade error message.
Right.
That we don't.
What number is that? We got 2.
2, yeah.
And here it is 3. And when we refresh, we got 2. Not exactly what you wanted. So what just happened here? What just happened here is that we told the Windows installer through this WiX attribute behind here, allow same version upgrades equals yes. We're saying if it's the same version, go ahead and do the upgrade behavior. So 1.0.1 and 1.0.2 and 1.0.3 all look like the same version, which means when we set this allow same version upgrades, they can upgrade each other because they're the same version. The problem is the Windows installer is ignoring that 4th part. Therefore, it's just installing them whatever one you do last. It's not actually doing a version comparison on that last part.
Okay.
So this is not necessarily a solution to the problem. But the part that all right. So does that make sense? What happened here? It's
Yes.
The Windows installer only looks at the 3 versions. It'll only look at the first 3 parts of the version. And the way we can get it to pay attention to that 4th version is only to say, hey, these are the same version. So it's essentially only upgrading this. Any of these can upgrade any of these.
Okay.
And you don't have any real logic. And Bob points out, which is why the default is the way it is. All right. So I want to show one more thing. Ooh, we have 2 minutes. That was a fast show, David.
It was.
All right. We're going to go sparring, David, and this time I have a question for you.
Sure.
All right. So knowing that we have this option, let me bring it back. I'll bring the versions back. So knowing that we have this option to do allow same version upgrades, the debate is in language design, in the WiX toolset itself, as a designer of the language. So I want you to think and come to the other side. Imagine you're a black belt and now you're providing the tools to all the new people in the world. You get to make a decision. Should allow same version upgrades be true or false, yes or no, by default? If you make allow same version upgrades no by default, which is what it is today in WiX 3 and in WiX 4, then that means you'll get this behavior where if you install something with the same version, like we did here, version 1.1, you'll get a separate one from the ones, right? And you get this really strange behavior where you can get multiple of these, right? These guys don't have that bit in them, so you can install them. Even though they look like they're the same version number, you can install them all. So that's one option, is to make this the default, which of course is a very mysterious behavior. Like, it's really like, why is it doing this? There's no explanation of why it would behave in this way. Does that make sense, David?
It does. I thought you said it kept track 3 down. So like 1.1.0.
Yep.
Is it the same as the 1.1?
1.1, yeah, without a 0 there is equivalent to 0.
Okay, I guess that's what I was asking. That's equivalent to 1.1.0?
Yep.
Okay.
So if we had a 1.1, he could come through and clean all these up. In fact, maybe we'll do that in a minute. But the question I want to ask, continuing on that path, so that's one option, is to do what we've done, mark it as a no, and then you get this very strange behavior. Or we could make the default yes, which is actually what I thought the change we'd made in 4. We did not. Such that you get the behavior now where if you install 1.0.3, it looks like it upgrades it. Actually, that may have upgraded everybody. Look at that, cleaned up everybody.
Right.
Because he said, I found all these guys that are the same version as me. I cleaned all of them, and it's going to look like it works. Right? Everything works until you maybe one day go back and try to install 1.1.2, and suddenly you get this behavior, which you would not expect, but you might not have discovered beforehand. So you can see why. You can see the debate. Do you create the default that creates a very strange behavior, but one that you'll probably experience if you try upgrades? Or do we create the allow same version upgrades that looks like it works and generally works, but also allows you to downgrade on that fourth version? Which way do you pick in the design? Which is least surprising to the person using it?
Probably the latter here. Now, that being said, I don't have a lot of experiencing versioning, right? So the difference for me to think, okay, what's the difference between 1.1.0 and 1.1.0.2, right? That on the upgrading on the fourth digit there, is that a super small change every time?
Sure.
Like,
yep. Versioning is completely dependent on the organization that does it.
Right. So, but I'm assuming like the fourth digit's a very small change, and even the third digit might be a smaller set of changes.
Those are general guidelines that people follow.
Sure. I think the second behavior may be a little bit more intuitive, right? I mean,
it definitely works more the way it seems to work more the way people would expect. That installing these, I can install 1.1. Now this is going to give me a separate one because it doesn't recognize this.
Right.
And then I can install 1.0.3 and it will seemingly clean everything up. The problem is that you won't know until later.
But the file's changed. The file is 1.1.0.3 right now.
The thing you won't discover until later is that you can go back to 1.0.2 that also had allow same version upgrades and install that.
So let's say somebody installed one version behind on accident.
Yes.
It wouldn't be apparent, but it would still be, no, it would just show up as a different one in the add or move programs.
It would just work, even though generally you don't expect the older versions to take you back to work. And you had this downgrade error message that didn't fire.
True, but it's the only listing in, add or move programs right there. And the file is correct. I still think that's a little bit more, at least for me, without the benefit of seeing, what it's been looking like when you make a new version of something like that. This seems a little bit more intuitive. Yes, you might install a small minor version one back, but if you're looking at the file, but I guess it's not always a text file either, right? If it's yeah. I still think this is a little bit more intuitive, but I don't have a lot to base that on.
Well, I'm going to bring one more thing into the mix next week now, that we will continue to explore the edge of this case and talk about it a little bit more. And honestly, I think it's a little late for WiX 4, but the information from here will definitely flow into WiX 5. So we'll go from there. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So this has been a fantastic episode. Thank you, David. That's fun sparring there. Fun little digression and digging into this behavior in the Windows installer that is not at all intuitive. And quite honestly, they never should have made it behave this way. They should have made it work off of 4 versions because everything else in the world works off 4 versions, and they should have just done that. But they didn't. So we always have to kind of talk about it here. And I think this is a great way for us to, you can see how easy it is to build upgrades, do upgrades. And again, I want to note that even though we're on episode 4 when we first introduced major upgrade, you really should have it there from the beginning. Go watch episode 4 if you want to understand why you need a major upgrade, but always add your major upgrade element from the beginning. So until next week, you guys keep coding. I am. David, bye.
See you, bud.
Hey!